2 a.m. finally done here. Well, have to put the covers back on everything, but I had originally run 3 12-2s and a 14-2, and the 14-2 was intended to be for the lights and maybe an outlet. And I had thought that I would be able to put the GFCi breaker in the panel here, but I wasn't. So what I did was I used 3 20 amps and ran those 12-2s over to the other side over here. And now I have the one wire going that way that's not in use right now. And then these are all 12-2s coming down. And this is a crazy mess. Now, coming down into these two lines here are the 12-2 for each of the pumps. This was originally not used or a connection. And then this is feeding into there. So this is overstuffed. That stinks. Hindsight, I could have at least, there's 12-2 in here and then 14-2 in here. I hadn't realized I was going to run this extra line down. But what I'm doing here is I've got 15 amp stuff coming out of here. Now, how do I get 15 amps off of a 20 amp GFCi? Well, what I did was I took the 20 amp, come into here, go into the GFCi, and then from the GFCi, the output from here comes up here, pigtails, goes over to my outlet over here that's a 20 amp outlet, and then comes in here into the 15 amp breaker. The 15 amp breaker has 14 gauge that runs this way, runs down through here, runs through here, runs through here, into this. So now this is a GFCi protected outlet. I hadn't intended on keeping an outlet there, but it is a nice spot to have an outlet. So I put one back in. So the 14 gauge comes in here, it makes its junction here, runs over here to the original wiring that was in here, and it loops around the stuff. But so if I wanted to test, it shuts the lights out. I've got a flashlight hanging up here. So that also will kill that outlet and this outlet, which is good. So I've got GFCi protection here on this side of the garage near the water. Very good to have. Now I don't have GFCi protection on the pumps, but hopefully I'll get breakers to put into the panel to feed these two. That would be GFCi breaker. So I'm happy that I finally seem to have this done. I'm not thrilled that I have the extra wire here, but maybe I can actually run that up to the upstairs and use it for outlets on the second floor, because there are no outlets up there yet. 15 amp outlets on the second floor would be nice. I doubt that they need GFCi protection. So this was kind of crazy. A breaker feeding a breaker feeding a breaker, and that's really, I guess, boy, back in the house there's a 90 amp breaker, then there's a 100 amp breaker, then there's a 20 amp breaker, then there's a 20 amp GFCi breaker, then there's a 15 amp breaker. But the fact is that I couldn't use this GFCi breaker without this box. Maybe I could have used it in the basement of my house, but I felt like I needed GFCi protection here, and now I got it.